We've just had these news poll numbers drop here. And Michael, I might just go to you first on some of these, just to refresh everybody who's just catching up on this. You've got Labour on 36, 29 to the coalition. You've got a much bigger gap, I think 57 to 43, two-party preferred. And on the question of who do you think would make the better prime minister, Anthony Albanese, 52%, Susan Ley, 32%, uncommitted, 16%. Now, we knew and we know that from the way these sorts of polls behave at the start of a government, that's probably the highest that a government is going to get, and then things will start to come down from there. But Michael Kroger, where does the Liberal Party go from this in terms of starting to build back its support? It's going to be a pretty long slog with these numbers.
Well, as you said at the outset, James, I've seen this movie before too. I've seen the Liberal Party written off on numerous occasions over the years, in the death throes, etc. By the way, I've also seen Labor written off on many occasions. After the 77 election, for those that can remember that, after Malcolm Fraser won his second election by record margins, Labor were, considered, on the ropes, death knell, blah, blah, blah. What political parties have to do is stick to their brand equities, and what does the Liberal Party stand for? So these polls don't surprise me. There's only been 2 months of negative publicity about the party since the election, bad policies, not a big enough offering, don't appeal to women, young people, etc. So you've had 2 months of negativity. So, of course, the polls are going to recede. And Albanese's in, another honeymoon period. But you've got to stick to your core brand equities, and that is economic management, tax reform, helping small business, protecting our borders, etc., etc. So the traditional equities of the Liberal Party have to be more strongly advanced. And one of the biggest issues facing this country, of course, is the national debt. Now, Labor have outsmarted us on any number of elections by saying, the Liberals have got secret cuts whenever we try to talk about the budget deficit. But, sooner or later, the country's going to have to talk about debt. At least the Labor Party in Tasmania started to talk about debt as a serious problem. One of the reasons they had to call an election down there, because net debt is going to be 13 billion down there in Tasmania. Well, in Victoria, it's approaching 200 billion. The gross debt federally is, as we know, about to get to 1.2 trillion in a couple of years. So there's some of the issues you have to talk about. But as you say, energy is going to be one of those issues.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, if I knew 25 years ago that the debt was going to be what it is today, people would have been rioting in the streets 25 years ago. And now it seems like it's almost a non-starter of an issue. But Lee Hanson, I want to go to you on this here, because one of the interesting bits here in this poll was that support has leaked from the coalition to One Nation here. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out why that is. I mean, the policy offerings of the coalition were, let's just say, rather thin at the last election. And there's a lot of people I know who are conservatives who feel like the Liberals have kind of abandoned them in some ways with sort of the rise of the moderate wing. Lee Hanson, what's your takeaway on this gain for One Nation here? And does it show that there is a voice for conservatism that maybe some of the Liberal Party need to start trying to think about getting back into their own brand equity?
Correct, James. It's a strong indicator that the rise for One Nation is definitely improving. People have lost faith and confidence in the major parties. The Liberals are becoming too moderate, and they feel that they're moving away from their true conservative values, let alone confidence in the leadership. And we've seen that in these polls that have come through. So who can they turn to? Who really are the true conservative parties representing the grassroots Australians and the core issues that we're fighting today? And that's One Nation. One Nation's only continuing to rise from strength to strength. We've got branches rolling out in the coming months across Australia, and we are under no illusion that this will only continue to get stronger. People are looking for alternatives, and we are offering that. We're offering that, and people can see it.